Hello everybody, welcome back to Luton. My name's Jace and this is the May Veg Plot Tour. Now it's a little bit blustery outside, so I will do my best to keep the camera close to me when I'm talking, and that's why I'm doing this little bit in here in the shed, the introduction. So we'll get back out onto the plot now and I'll show you what we've been up to. So we'll start here, and my trellis on the fence to grow marrowfat peas, and it has not been a success so far. That's the shed door slamming. We've had a few come up, but what happened was we had some really wet weather and there wasn't a gutter on the shed. So that's something that's been done since the last plot update. There is now a gutter, but what it did was it flooded these pots. You can see where the water was dripping, that line, and I think the peas may have rotted, so I may need to get some more. So that's a fail. But the carrots that I put in, little ball carrots, I can't remember the name of them, but they're all coming up and doing well. So I'll get some more peas, put them in, and hopefully we can fill this trellis with marrowfat peas. And we've had some glorious weather the last few days, and I don't think this thermometer can possibly be right, but it is showing 36 degrees. I don't believe that. I think it's probably more like 23, something like that. It is warm. I wonder if it's the heat coming back off the shed reflecting back off, or it's just a really cheap rubbish thermometer maybe. So up here we've got the cucumbers, and this is a variety called La Diva. These are living in clutches outside, and they have been now for a good couple of weeks. And this is a variety called Telepathy, and we've had a few cucumbers off each now, and they are delicious, absolutely delicious. So I've got one of each variety in clutches, and the rest are coming in and out doing the plant dance into the garden room on a night and out in the day. And we've got these here. On the upper plot we've got two pallet collar beds. This one we've got Blue Lake French climbing beans. They were sown direct probably a couple of weeks ago, still coming up. You see that shoot there, and in between two rows of radishes, and the name escapes me at the moment. They're a white radish. I can't remember the name of them. Is it Ferrari, or am I talking rubbish? I could be talking rubbish. I'll find it out and put it on the video as text. But yeah, they're coming on. And over there in that bed we have stir-on onions. They're from sets. They're a backup to the onions that I've sown from seed. The pallet is there to keep cats off the bed and what have you, and birds, etc. while they got going. That pallet could actually come off now. So in the greenhouse we have all year round cauliflower, celery. It's a bit late, but I'm giving it another go, even though I have bought some at the garden centre, and that's in the ground now. Then we have salad leaves, or iceberg actually these are, and spinach, kale, and some red cabbage. This is all Julie's department. This is flower garden stuff I don't know about. These are multi-sown swede, coming on ready to go when the early potatoes come out. Pak choy coming on. I sowed some kohlrabi at the weekend, so we'll see how they do. And then these are dwarf beans, ready to go somewhere pretty soon by the looks of them. I think I'm going to have to make another bed for those. So here we've got the main crop potatoes. These are King Edward, all except for the tub at the back there, which is Maris Piper. And they're just coming on, they're doing well. There's 3 potatoes in each pot, about a third of the way from the bottom, and then it's just compost on top. And yeah, they're doing well. Over here on this side of the plot, rhubarb doesn't seem to be doing quite so well this year, and I think I'm going to harvest some of that soon, and then let the rest grow on. It's the same with the other one up that end of the bed, although that one did flower, and we let the flower actually flower because we wanted to see what it was like. We'd never seen one before, and then we got rid of it and composted it, but obviously that took quite a lot of energy out of the plant. So on this side we've got the brassica cage, and the sprouts are doing pretty well. Had a big problem with slugs further up the bed, not here so much, but further up. So there's lots of beer traps under these slates as we go along. That's a broccoli, that small one in the middle, because I had one of the sprout plants die, and this one has had it. That needs to come out. That, I imagine, has had its root cut or its stem cut by I call them a cutworm, but it's a larva that comes along and basically eats your plant from underneath, and then they do this and die. On this side, these are Stuttgart onions, which were sown from seed last June, July time, and they went all through the winter, survived all that cold, etc. But they're doing a strange thing. They're almost like a shallot. They're sort of splitting into 2s and 3s and even 4s, and they're also trying to go to seed now. They're bolting. You see their flower heads forming. So all these will be coming out, and we will just use what we can use of them. Chop the leaves up, put them in salads or in cooking, and whatever is there of the bulbs, we'll put those in as well. And then over here, going along, we've got broccoli. As you can see, the further along the bed we go, the worse the slug damage gets. But some of these are actually now starting to flower and form heads. So there's one there. I don't know if you can see that through the netting. That's better. And then there's another one. Now I don't know if these are bolting or they're actually following their normal cycle. These were sown probably February time, I would say. There's one over here that's really starting to form a head. So we're going to have to see how they go, and if we need to take them as small flowers and eat them, then that's what we'll have to do. All these are Elsa Craig onions that were sown from seed in January. So there's around 100 or so onions here. So they're coming on, doing okay. And then tomatoes. I had a few criticising comments, perhaps I could say. I put these out 2 weeks ago, and well, this is the result. They're doing okay. That fleece is always at the back of them, so I've made this cane structure for them, not only for them to grow up, but for the fleece. And then on nights where it's going to be below 10 degrees, I come out and I put fleece around them as well, and I just use clothes pegs to put it all together. And we have been down to 7 degrees on some nights for several hours at night, and there's been no problems. So we have got red cherry here, these 3, and then we've got a beefsteak, another beefsteak, and one at the far end. And these ones here are Maskotka. These are a bush tomato, these three at the front. And they're coming on, they're starting to grow some fruit. So yeah, I'm pleased. Overall, I'm pleased. And then we've got spinach at the front there. And as you'll see as we go around the plot, I've dotted marigolds here, there and everywhere to suit. If there's an empty space, put a marigold in it. And then we've got more broccoli, and I had a real problem with slugs at this end. These two, these are cabbage, these are Savoy. I think that was one, and so was that. Slugs are pretty much done for them. And I've had to fill in where I've lost cauliflower and cabbage, etc., with broccoli, because I had a lot of broccoli spare. And I'm trying the copper mesh as a fence, and it does seem to have helped. It does seem to have helped. But for about a week, I was coming out here every night, especially in the wet weather, and hand picking slugs off. The bear traps are in as well. And I think I'm winning the battle now. Well, I know I am. I know that I'm getting there. And I'm doing the old trick, you know, water locally around the plant, don't soak the whole bed, etc. Because we've gone from everything being soaking wet to now having to water things, especially the raised beds, every day. So, and that's happened within a week, 10 days. You know, it was soaking wet and now it's bone dry in places. Although the actual grounds, like over here, if I was to go dig down with a trowel, a few inches down it would be damp. So I'm not watering the beds every day. I'm watering them as and when I think they need it, and I do the, you know, little dig test to see how damp the soil is. And also things that are shallow rooted are watered more often, so onions for example, whereas brassicas and tomatoes and things that have got deeper roots less often. But obviously I adapt the watering as I go. Look at all these flies that are hatching in the soil and they just can't get out the netting. So these are the beefsteak. Starting to get some fruit now forming, and I've actually moved these two to space these three out a little bit further, and I obviously missed a side shoot on every one of them, I think, because I've got two main stems growing. I did some research, it says that's okay, so that's what I'm going to go with. So that's why we've got two canes here, one for this stem and one for that stem. Improvise, adapt, overcome, etc. This is the rhubarb that flowered, and it isn't doing so well, so although it is now starting to put up some new shoots in the centre, so I might take some of these outer ones and we'll have a nice rhubarb crumble or something, and then leave the middle to grow on, and maybe give it a feed, get a bag of rotted farm manure and get that put around it as well. The plum tree is putting up lots of new growth, as is the apple tree. That had some beautiful blossom on it last week. Over here we've got some kale, not doing particularly well, and lots of volunteer potatoes, because I grew main crop potatoes here last year. On the compost front, this bay is now closed down and we're just leaving it to do its thing. Covered in compost bags, black side up, just to get a bit more heat. And over the weekend I put at least 10 litres of water on each heap and then covered them. This one is empty because this is for turning this one and this one into when it's ready to be turned. This is the heap that we're currently filling up. So kitchen scraps, grass cuttings, cardboard, wood chip, weeds, compost, everything, you know. Look, there's a thistle. We put it all in, and it all adds to the flavour. Temperature of this one at the moment, just under 30 degrees by the looks of it. Could do with some more green material in there and a bit of a mix up perhaps. I've now got another pallet to finish this bay as well. This is just a pile of sort of turf upside down, covered in bags to prevent the weeds and prevent it from growing again. And that's just spare soil that we can use. Over here we've got the courgettes. Now these must have been out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we've been having some really nice courgettes. We had a couple last night, put them into a spaghetti bowl, and that was good. I've got the polythene that I cover them up if it's going to be below 10 degrees, and if it's going to be like 6 or 7 degrees, I light the candle inside as well. And we've had 6 degrees and the candle's been on and these have been fine. So yeah, it is working. It is working. I'm not saying they wouldn't have done better had I planted them out later, because they would have done, of course, but we're getting fruit and they're growing. There's lots of new flowers forming, and there's a courgette coming now, and there's a couple more. So it does work. You can do it. You can start them early and put them out early if you're prepared to put in the effort and protect them and cover them. This is a butternut squash, and that again is starting to come on leaps and bounds. So hopefully keep looking after them and they'll all survive okay. Over here we've got the parsnips. So the bigger ones over here are white gem, and I started those in cardboard dissolving pots in January in the garden room, planted them out in early February and covered them with half pot bottles, and they're that size now. More recently, about 3 weeks ago, I sowed the rest direct, and these are all now coming up. And these are Gladiator, part of the Potty Mouth Garden Club Parsnip Challenge. So got loads of parsnips in here now, and in between the parsnip rows we're growing some radish. Can't remember the variety. It's like a ball type radish, grows to about the size of a golf ball. So this is just a way of getting an extra crop out the same piece of ground. And this is the carrot bed. So these are the first ones I sowed. These are Nantes. So these, that row, that row, that row. Then when these came through, I sowed these 2 rows. So these are Nantes as well. And then I've put 3 or 4 rows in of hold on, I haven't written it down. I can't remember the variety now, but they're a white carrot. So they're in here. When these seedlings come through, then I will sow some more over here. This stick represents where I got to. So I tend to let them come through and then sow the next lot, and that's about every 2 weeks. So it works out well. There's a successional sowing, it works out well. Just important to keep them watered in this dry weather, because then when you sow carrots, it's not very deep and they can dry out so easily. Here, these are the leeks. These were sown 2nd of February indoors, just in a seed tray. Just broadcast sowed them and then planted them out, oh, it must be a month ago, if not more, and they're coming on nicely. Over here got some beetroot at the back, and then spring onion. This is a Tumbling Tom bush tomato. So on the evenings that it's going to be a bit cooler, these go back into the greenhouse, an unheated greenhouse. And then at the weekend I went mad. Been to the garden centre. I've been buying some new terracotta pots. This is one of the new ones, £10, can you believe that? 10 quid. This is one I've had for donkey's years. So, but I've bought some herbs. So basil in there. This is a sage that I had last year, so I've potted it on, given it a good haircut, got rid of all the dead stuff, and it seems to have perked up already. Got some dill. That's in a plastic pot, that one. I need to get another terracotta one. I do like terracotta. And then we've got another tumbling tom there. Broad beans are coming on good. I've had to use some of the old banister spindles, but I've ripped out the house and some string just to keep them from being blown around. And if you look, you can see the ants on here. They're not causing a problem to the plant. What they're actually doing is clearing up after the aphids. Not that I can actually see any aphids on there, but apparently what they do is they go around and clear up the waste from the aphids, so aphid poo, etc. Apparently as the aphids eat the plant, they leave a sticky mess behind, and the ants like it and they go and clear it up. But I can't see any aphids on them at all, and I've looked. So anyway, that's a sign to me that nature is in balance, and that's a good thing. These are some spare iceberg that I had, so I just shoved them in there. Over here we have got electric red onions, variety electric, from sets because I knocked my seed tray over and ruined them, so I had to buy some sets. A few more lettuce down here. Parsley from last year, trimmed right back, given a haircut, potted on into this new pot. In fact, was it this one that was £10? I think it was this one. Good size of that for 10 quid. Yeah, and I think that one was 8 quid. And that was 10 quid. And these were 5 quid. And that's got some thyme in it. Another tumbling tom. Then we've got Solent white garlic, planted in modules in January, and then planted out, oh good, 6 weeks ago probably. Monge 2 at the back, which is now going rampant. The theory that they don't like to grow with alliums, I'm not so convinced, because I had to actually untangle the Monge 2 from the garlic earlier on. They were actually latching onto the garlic and using it as support, and I had to snap off their little tendrils and put them onto the mesh. In here we've got borage, an edible plant, herb, and this is a rainwater trap that when I built the bathroom in the house and had to join into the existing clay drains and everything, this came out, and I managed to get it out in one piece, and I've drilled a few holes in the bottom. What a fantastic pot that is, and that is the best part of 100 years old. And what I'm going to do is look out for one of the clay 90-degree bends, and then I can put that on here, fill that with compost, and then I've got another little pot there. But you know, that's a nice little keepsake. It's part of the house, and I think, well, the house was finished in 1935, so 90 years old ish. Another tumbling tom. Got some more peas, Monge 2 in that pot, and then Monge 2 at the back. And then here we've got various salad leaves and iceberg at the front, and we've had quite a lot of salad already, but it's now time to thin these out, take some whole plants and make a salad with them and let the others grow on. And that was a deliberate thing. Plant them close, take the outer leaves, but then when they get too bunched together, take the whole plant and leave the others to grow. Obviously the iceberg, most of these we want to heart up, so another new pot, and I've sowed some coriander in there. Bought myself a fuchsia. This is a hardy bush variety. I do like fuchsias, very pretty flower, and it's good to attract a few bees, etc. This pot I've had 30 years maybe, must be. Same with this one, I've had that 30 years as well. And in there we've got some curly leaf parsley, and then in these two pots we've got a peppermint and an apple mint. Gorgeous. Over here we've got, now these are cuttings from the tomato plants that are out already. So these are side shoots from the Tumbling Tom. So these will be 3 new bush tomatoes. And then there we've got, I think these might be the red cherry. Need to let them grow on a bit, and then you can actually tell by looking at the leaves. Not all tomato plant leaves are the same, so you can actually identify them. If you were to take this and walk around the garden and offer it up to the different ones, you'd be able to establish which one it is. They could even be beefsteak, looking at that. Need to let them grow, see what happens. That's definitely beefsteak, that one. Need to let them grow on a bit. Royal Sovereign strawberries in there. Another compost heap, damped down and sealed up. And then here, these are the first potatoes that went in this year in pots. So these are 40 litre pots, 4 potatoes in each one. This is homemade compost, and then this is shop bought compost. That's shop bought with potato feed, and that's shop bought with fish blood and bone. So the interesting thing is the homemade compost is a different green, different leaf colour to the shop bought. That's obviously down to nitrogen levels in the compost. But this is all part of an experiment that we'll do a weigh-in probably in about another 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, when these are finished. And I've got to start taking the flowers off this row, because as well as experimenting with the different feeds and different composts, I'm experimenting with taking the flowers off one row and leaving them on the other row to see if that extra energy goes into the potatoes and not the flowers. So this is a cherry tree that we bought, variety Morello, and we put it out last year and we had lots of blossom, and we're actually growing some cherries coming on actually. So I'm probably going to have to net this pretty soon, otherwise the birds are going to have a feast. And here we've got a apple tree, Spartan it's called. We've had a bit of blossom, so we're going to have to see what happens there. All the trees we've got are very young, because we only moved in here a couple of years ago, and we're putting the trees on this boundary to try and give us a bit of privacy and provide some fruit. And here we have a conference pear tree, which really didn't do very well last year, but this year it does seem to have picked up. So you can just let it do its thing this year and then look at pruning it in the winter. And then other progress since the last plot tour is got the door frames in for the polytunnel. Did do a video on this, so if you want to watch that, go back and have a look. Got the centre pathway in and a centre bed to maximise the space, the growing area in the tunnel. And then for this year, because we've got no cover and the ground's pretty tough, We're growing our main crop on this side, so we've got Maris Piper here, and then further along we've got pink fir apple. They're all coming up now. That little square at the end has got nothing in it at all at the moment other than weeds. And then this side we've got the second lot of Charlotte that I planted. So these were planted about a month after the ones in the pots, and I'm just trying to stagger our crop there. And then up the far end we've got celeriac grown from seed, and then celery, which I bought at the garden centre because I killed mine. It germinated, but then I think I actually cooked it in the clutch on a warm day. The centre bed has got absolutely nothing in it yet, and I'm thinking that's going to be cucumbers in a little while. As it warms up, on those cucumbers you saw earlier, I'm going to get those out here, and my chilies and peppers and what have you. So we'll just finish off in the garden room. These are a chili mix of seeds. So I don't know the exact variety of each plant, but these are chilies basically. And we've got our first flower coming there by the looks of it. So they go up to here, and then these are red pepper, sweet peppers, and they were saved from seed, homemade saved seed from 2020. And then here we have Sweet Amy, which is a yellow bell pepper, so we've got 5 of those. And then in here we've got melon, melon here, butternut squash, but only one's come up by the looks of it, and then more melon, Alvaro F1 hybrid. 3 out of 4 have come up. And in here yesterday I sowed watermelon. I'm going to have a go. You really need to grow it under glass, but we'll have a go. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, really helps the channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do, and follow us on our journey to become more self-sufficient in veg, fruit, eggs, and maybe some honey at some point as well. Thanks very much. See you next time.